What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have a pretty big news update for Destiny 2. And so initially Bungie give us some updates on issues in the game, new fixes and changes, as well as a new problem with progress loss, so we'll cover what we know there. And then we get even more new Lightfall info, including a new activity for the expansion, new legendary campaign rewards, a raid teaser, and more. And additionally, Bungie recently discussed the future of Siva and how we're not likely to see its return. And then finally, Bungie have teased the finale quest for Season 19, which we'll discuss last as there is a spoiler alert for that. And so we'll get into it guys. If you enjoy the video, drop a rating and comment below as it really supports the channel. And now let's get into the content. So, a couple of heads up from Bungie initially. They said, in the lead up to Lightfall, we've implemented some changes, and blue engrams no longer drop at the soft cap, and where blue engrams would previously drop, purples do instead. But on top of that, gunsmith reputation gains from other sources have been increased by 25%, and when Lightfall arrives, these blue engrams will transform into glimmer. And so that change is now live, but will be adjusted again in Lightfall. Another heads up from Bungie Help here, and they said we're investigating reports of progress loss potentially affecting a small population of players who deleted a character in the last 48 hours. They went on to say we're continuing to investigate this, and players who did not delete a character or deleted a character after the completion of hotfix 6307 are unaffected. And so if you have been affected by that, it's some kind of bug. I'm not even sure what types of progress loss Bungie are referring to, but bear it in mind if it's something you have been affected by, and hopefully Bungie will give us updates shortly. Next though, let's speak about Lightfall once again. Yesterday, we got that new gear trailer, which was pretty awesome, and Bungie have since updated some of the marketing material for it. So initially for Lightfall, there is the new story, and the website says, shattered glass glints in the neon starlight as the Shadow Legion marches beneath the fleet hovering over Neomuna. There will be a legendary mode for the campaign right here, and the definitive Lightfall challenge, forge memories and strengthen the bonds of friendship by overcoming the impossible. And on top of that, we can complete legendary mode and be rewarded with a complete set of armor, which prepares us for everything that awaits on Neptune. So much like last year, legendary campaign is going to drop some pretty significant rewards if you complete that first. And here we get a teaser for a new activity. So this is called Terminal Overload. The Shadow Legion and the Vex are conducting an all-out assault on the city, put an end to their destruction in this new 6-player match-made activity. And so that's going to be the destination activity, essentially the wellspring for Neomuna. And this will almost certainly be one of the sources for the Neomuna world weapons, which we can see a screenshot of right here. But in addition to that, they updated the description for the raid. So, ferried from an unknown time and place, a haunting presence has been detected. We must now confront the ancient threat growing at our doorstep. And so a pretty cool teaser right there. And it'll be interesting to see if the new raid in Lightfall leans towards kind of future stories the same way Vow of Disciple did, introducing us to Rulk, that updated kind of darkness theme, and a few of the ideas that ultimately are going to be expanded on in Lightfall. It's entirely possible that the upcoming Lightfall raid could be pretty similar. And to give us your thoughts on all of those reveals, guys, any of the new rewards and bits of gear they showed off in the trailer yesterday, as well as those upcoming activities, the legendary mode, and all that stuff down in the comment section. In terms of future reveals though, Bungie spoke about the recent blog posts that they've been putting up for Lightfall. And Destiny 2 team on Twitter added, we can't promise to see blog posts every week, as they require lifts from quite a few teams and sometimes content is just lighter as the team works on what's next, but they are planning on using the format a lot more for a variety of topics in the future. Then somebody said, will we have more information about Strand soon via blogs or twabs? And they said we may have a thing or two planned. So as expected, I guess, but it looks like we're certainly going to get some kind of dedicated Strand reveal in the coming weeks. A couple of other bits of clarification from Bungie here real quick. Bungie confirmed with the recent changes for weapon focusing at vendors. For trials, they said adept focusing requirements remain the same as previous seasons. You must go flawless that week to focus an adept weapon. So having previously acquired an adept weapon isn't going to give us continued access to focus it week over week without repeating that flawless run. On top of that, they said they're also looking into the issue with the evidence board bug that's blocking progress with the exotic glaive quests. So just a few bits of clarification there. Up next though, let's speak about a new interview about narrative development, and this was on fanbyte.com. And they said in the run-up to Lightfall, they recently had the opportunity to speak with Liz Baker and Nico Stevens, who are two members of the Destiny narrative team. It's certainly an interview worth looking at in full, but there was a question about Siva, and with Siva not being a prominent feature of Destiny since Rise of Iron, it's certainly a theme that players have speculated would return in a major way. But they said when beginning plans for Season of the Seraph, the Destiny 2 narrative team considered returning to the story about Siva as told in Rise of Iron. However, they decided that the thread had already reached a natural conclusion and pointed out that it had paid off in various ways throughout Destiny 2 already, such as when Aramis attempted to steal Siva tech from the tower's vaults in the 0 Hour mission. And they also told PC Gamer that they talk about Siva, they kick the idea around, but ultimately, they think that the Siva story was told in Rise of Iron and was finalized in Rise of Iron. They went on to say, we definitely have people in the studio who want to do things with older elements of Destiny, and whenever we find the opportunity to bring them in, we do our best to make sure it happens. But we think Siva, while it's cool, it would be looking backwards. And we were trying to build up to Neomuna and Lightfall, and to make sure that the story had room to breathe before players set foot onto that new destination. And so certainly for fans of the theme of Siva, and of course the style that it brings, that may be a little bit disappointing. It's interesting that they talk about looking forward, and personally I was a big fan of that whole style in Rise of Iron, so I would have been happy to see more of that content in the future. Although I suppose with it being a very strong theme and something that requires a fair amount of development visually, it probably would be pretty expensive to release something Siva themed as a season, for example. And so I can see why Bungie perhaps wouldn't want to focus on it in a major way for an expansion. And I suppose those would just be a couple of challenges associated with bringing Siva themes back. But give us your thoughts about it down below. They also spoke about the final shape, and the interviewer asked a question about the Witness. They said when and if the Witness reveals their ultimate plan to us, players will hopefully see it in the same light as the revelations in Witch Queen. In that expansion, Destiny 2 players learned that the Hive had been tricked into their original covenant with the Worm Gods. And they finished by saying Bungie has a clear and detailed idea of what success means to the Witness, which presumably ties into the final shape. So some interesting insights there. Once again, give us your thoughts below, and I'll link the full Fanbyte interview in the description box. The final thing I wanted to mention right here though, involves a bit of a spoiler alert in relation to the finale for Season 19. It was actually something which Bungie have recently revealed in the known issues section of the TWAB, but if you don't want any indication about it whatsoever, consider the video finished right here. But in the known issues, they listed that the Abhorrent Imperative quest cannot be picked up if a player's bounty inventory is full, and players will need to make room in their inventory to pick the quest up. So in itself, it's actually a useful shout. I believe on February 14th the quest is going to kick off, and with players maybe stashing bounties for Lightfall, just bear in mind if it doesn't allow you to pick it up, it will be because of your bounty inventory according to their post here, but obviously that gives us a name for the quest. And I know very lore-savvy players will understand some of the potential implications of that, but the quest itself is actually listed in the database. There's just a quick text thread here. After an assault on the Seraph station, Rasputin is connected to the Warsat network and ready to execute his plan. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the finale phase of this season is going to be like, especially as it's leading into an expansion. Could potentially be interesting, but bear in mind that warning about the bounties. And also, we have to complete the More Than a Weapon story quest for Season 19 before we're able to do the finale piece as far as we know, so if you happen to have any steps of that remaining, be sure to get them done in the next couple of weeks if you want to play that quest when it drops. For today though guys, that's everything we have to speak about in the video, so as always I hope you've enjoyed this one, and if you have, a rating down below really does help us out on the channel. Feel free as well to get subscribed if you want to see more Destiny content. Obviously we're going to have plenty to talk about in the coming weeks, but otherwise, for now, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.